Good morning, students. Today we are going to start the new chapter, chapter number 8, the nervous system. All the vertebrates, that is organisms with the backbone, such as fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds and mammals, including man, that is human beings, are made up of several body systems that work in coordination, which is brought about by the proper functioning of the nervous system. We have already learned in higher organisms, the nervous system provides the fastest means of communication within the body so that suitable responses to stimuli can be made at once. In this chapter, we are going to study more about the nervous system of human beings. We know that the coordination is of two types in our body. One is chemical coordination and another is a nervous coordination. The chemical coordination is brought by hormones, which we have already studied in the earlier chapter. This chapter we are going to study about the nervous coordination found in our body, which is brought by the neuron cells. The nervous system of human beings control the functioning of the internal organs, the movement, perceptions and even our thoughts and emotions. The nervous coordination in the human body is brought about by the three parts: brain, the spinal cord and the nerves. Each nerve constitutes by some specialized cells which are called the neurons. Nerves are the pathways of electrical impulses that travel from the brain and spinal cord to different parts of our body. Depending on the direction in which they transmit impulses, nerves are of three types. First, the motor or the efferent nerves. Efferent word is a Latin word which means carry away. These nerves carry the impulses from the brain to the effector organs such as muscles and glands to control their activities. Second type of nerves are the sensory nerves, also called efferent. Efferent again being a Latin word which means carry forward. These nerves carry the impulses from the receptor organ to the brain. The receptor organs such as eyes, tongue, etc. That means all our sense organs. Third type of nerves are the mixed nerves that function both as the motor and sensory. All the cranial nerves, that means the nerves arising from the brain, and the spinal nerves, the nerves arising from the spinal cord, are the examples of the mixed nerves. Cranial nerves are connected directly to the brain and extend to various parts of the head. Example, optic nerve. They are 24 in number and are arranged in 12 pairs. Spinal nerves are connected to the spinal cord and extend throughout the body except head. These are mixed type of nerves arranged in 31 pairs. A nerve is composed of millions of structural and functional units called neurons. As we know that all the motor nerves carry impulses from the brain to different body parts, therefore the neurons that constitute them are called the motor neurons. Here is the structure of a motor neuron. A motor neuron is a highly specialized cell for responding to stimuli. It provides most of the unique functions of the nervous system, such as sensing, thinking and remembering by receiving the impulses from the brain and delivering them from one part of body to another. Structurally, it consists of the following parts: the cell body, the dendrites and the axon. The cell body or cytone is the largest part of a neuron. It contains nucleus embedded in the cytoplasm like any other eukaryotic cell. It possesses cell organelles like mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum and so on. Dendrites are the short protoplasmic branches stretching out from the cell body. They receive impulses from other neurons and transfer them towards the cell body. Axon, one of the dendrite, grows very large in comparison to others and becomes an axon. Each axon ends in an axon ending. It carries impulses away from the cell. The axon is covered by three layers: axolemma, the innermost layer, myelin sheath, the middle layer, and neurolemma, the outermost layer. The axolemma and neurolemma are continuous layers, while the myelin sheath is constructed at intervals. These constrictions are known as the node of Ranvier. The myelin sheath provides insulation to the axon. As an impulse moves down a myelinated axon, it jumps from one node to another instead of moving along the membrane. The jumping from one node to another greatly increases the spread of an impulse. The differences between the sensory neuron and the motor neuron. Sensory neuron conducts impulses towards the brain and the spinal cord. Motor neuron transmits impulses away from the brain and spinal cord. Sensory neuron takes information from the receptor organs. Motor neuron brings information towards an effector organ. Sensory neuron picks up the information from the dendrites. Motor neuron picks up the information from the axon terminal. As the nerves are classified in three types, similarly the neurons can be classified on the basis of whether they carry information towards or away from the neural centers of the nervous system. These are of three types: sensory or efferent. They transmit the impulses from the receptor to the brain. Efferent or motor nerves. Neurons, they transmit outgoing impulses from brain to the effector. And the association neurons, they transmit the impulses from one neuron to another without touching each other. They communicate through synapses. The impulses do not cease at the end of a single neuron. They are passed on to another cell, which is either another neuron or an effector. There is always a small gap between the two neurons. This gap is called the synapse. Synapse is defined as a small gap between two neurons or between a neuron and effector, or the terminal branches of one neuron and dendrite of the next neuron. This gap is filled with a chemical called neurotransmitter, which allows the message to be transmitted from one neuron to the next. The function of neuron is to transmit the message in the form of nerve impulses from the brain to other parts of the body.